Reading slumps, not my favorite. I actually just got out of a pretty decent reading slump recently, so I wanted to kind of put out my tips on how I can either avoid or get myself out of a reading slump. For me, the two big reasons that I start slumping while I read is because, well, actually, three. There are three reasons. The first reason is I just get really busy. So if I get really busy and I only have small amounts of time to read, I don't feel like I can appropriately, or I don't feel like I get the same experience out of reading some of the longer epics I like to read. Like I got some chunkers up here, right? Joe Hill is not short. I don't know if I'm gonna read that one. Let me know if you think I should. But I really want to read The Raven Scholar. It's just so long. It's so big. So I feel like when I do my short spurts, I don't get as much, I don't get as immersed in the world. I can't appreciate the world building as much. I can't appreciate the plot as much because I feel rushed to get things in. And in certain books, like I feel like Dungeon Crawler Carl is God, there's going to be a single video where I don't talk about that. I swear. It's just what I'm reading right now. But I feel like it's fast paced enough that I can pick up and put down, and the chapters are short enough that I can do it short sprints with that, or I could do long sprints. I could do either one. But, like, for example, Brandon Sanderson, he is not one that I can just do little bits at a time. He shares so much information. If I do little bits at a time, I'm going to forget information. So I need to do long runs with it. So if I feel really busy and I really want to read this book, I start slumping. So that's one time that I would slump. Another time is when I just finished an amazing book and I had to sit and stare at the wall for a minute. You know that feeling. Everybody knows that feeling. Um, I did that after Hero of Ages, which is the third book in the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. I did it after a lot of books. I did it after, well, it was years ago, but I did it when I finished Hellbent, which is the second book in Lee Bardugo's Ninth House series. The third book is coming out soon, guys. I'm so excited. Um, but it's when I finish a really good book, and they're not necessarily long books. I did name two decently chunky sized books, but it can happen after short books too. Piranesi is a short book, and I had to just stare at the wall for a minute, and I had trouble moving on from that. So one time in which I slump is if I'm just really busy and I want to have more time and I just don't have the time. The second time I generally slump is when I'm blown away by a book. The third time is that I'm just getting burnt out by life, not just the books that I read, but just like everything going on around me. That number three, the burnt out, that was me last month. I've got a lot of really good things going on. I'm really happy. Like 2026 is going. Oh my God, I almost said 2016. Guys, stop. 2026 is going along really, really well. And I'm really happy about all of the things happening. It's just a lot of things happening. And I was feeling burnt out. And the thought of just tackling one more thing, and as much as I enjoy reading, it's just another thing. And in my mind, it was at that time. I just couldn't do it. So if you relate to any of those situations, this is how I get myself out of a slump. So maybe it might help you get yourself out of a slump. What I generally do is I will read the same genre for a long stretch of time. For me, it's usually fantasy. That's because what I like is fantasy, sci-fi or fantasy. Um, I'll jump ship. I'll jump to a different genre super, super quick. So what I did most recently when I was slumping, I was in the middle of a lot of different fantasies that I was really enjoying. So I had read The Spear Cuts Through Water, fantastic book. Another one of those sit and stare for a minute. I had read, I started reading Red Rising, which I'm going to finish it. I'm enjoying it, but it's just not what I was wanting at the time. And another long book like that. Maybe it was one of the DCC books, maybe one of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books. Um, but they were three really good books, but really long books. Crime and Punishment, I'm also working my way through. Um, but I feel like Crime and Punishment is another one of those where I need long stretches of time with it, not short little periods with it. So I was just feeling overwhelmed. So I switched it up and I read a rom com, The Bodyguards. This is not life changing. No, it was super cute. I actually ended up buying it because I found it on thrift books for like $2, $2 or $3, something like that. And it was worth $2 or $3. I read it from the library. I was like, this is going to be a reread book for me because it's just so quick and sweet and I loved it. And then I also did, I listened to an audiobook. So I changed genres and I also changed formats. So while I was reading this, I was also reading or listening to I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy, her memoir. Oof, that is certainly a switch. Two very different vibes. I don't have the physical book. Two very, very different vibes. But it was a switch that I needed. And then after that, I started reading a romantasy. I hadn't read romantasy in a long time, so I was throwing back to an old. I haven't finished the romantasy yet, but I'm going to pick it up when I'm done with another book that I'm reading right now. I even read Everything Is Tuberculosis while I was packing. I had this on an audio as an audiobook. Dude, just a moment for this book. If you haven't read it, you need to read it. John Green is so good. He's so good at making important things manageable or like comprehensible, if that makes sense. Like he spoke a little bit about it here, talking about, no, this is not a John Green book review. Maybe I'll do, but maybe watch for a TikTok just on this one. But it was so good, and it was exactly what I need. So I'm changing things up. I'm keeping it fresh. And once I had a few of these shorter books under my belt, so that was the other thing, is I read long books. My general range for book count, like page count, is between 500 and 800 pages. Like I read chunkers, and I enjoy them. Obviously, I enjoy them because I keep reading them. But it can be a lot because you can. Sometimes it is a little frustrating if I'm reading for 3 hours at a time, which I don't usually have 3 hours to sit and read, but that's just an example. If I have 3 hours at a time and I feel really good and making great progress, and I read like 150, 200 pages, and then I close the book and it's like, you're 10% through the book. It's kind of discouraging, you know? So it's like a hit of dopamine almost. Like, oh, yeah, I read these so fast. I read them in like 3 days. This one I read in 2 days. Probably could have read in one, but again, I'm busy. I don't have a lot of time to sit down and read for very long spurts of time. This one I read in like 2 or 3 days. Oh, easy, fun, done. That is a really good motivator for me. So I'll read a different genre and I'll read shorter books. So it's just switching it up. That's what I do. That's why my first shot at breaking a slump or avoiding a slump is to read something fast, get something through. And it doesn't have to be like a book you're not that excited about. Because for me, if I'm not that excited about it, even if it's a short book, I'm not going to read it very quickly. I just won't. I'll be like, oh, okay. A great example of this would be T. Kingfisher, What Moves the Dead. Don't even get me started on that book. The potential. But that one's only like 150 pages long. It took me like 3 weeks to read it. So short is not the only thing to look for in one of these slump breakers. I look for short, I look for engaging, I look for interesting. Short, engaging, interesting. Short, engaging, fun. We'll say interesting / fun because it's not like a particularly interesting. It's super like classic rom-com, and I love that. I'm trying to be better about how I talk about romance, because 9 times out of 10, is it going to be that life-changing, oh my god? No. There are times where it is. Most of the time, no. This is just a fun little breezy read, and sometimes you just need a breezy read. So I think there's a lot of talk and a lot of judgment around rom-com, and that's not calling anyone out, that's calling myself out. I've had that feeling about it too, but I'm trying to change the way I think about it, because there's such value in breezy books. There's such value in, these are basically just find your person books, and what's wrong with that? That's so sweet. So that's my pep talk to me about rom-coms. And this one was really fun. Catherine Center. I've read 2 Catherine Center books now, I think. I think so. Or I at least own 2. Well, I did buy a third one. So we're gonna keep our minds open to the Catherine Center. Emily Henry is still my number 1 when it comes to romance, but this was a good. I don't think Emily Henry is super breezy, by the way. This is breezy. I don't think Emily Henry, depending on the kind of person you are, not super breezy, because she gets really human and you're like, wait a second, hold on. Anyway, we're going on tangents today. Good lord. Okay. Give me a second. So short but engaging books. That's my first suggestion for breaking a slump. Short, engaging books, right? My next suggestion is something easy. So these were short, engaging, easy, but I'm talking like you can turn your brain off and still have a good time. So The Bodyguard was a great example of that. I'm also going to pick up Prisoner of Azkaban. So I haven't actually read all of the Harry Potter books. That's kind of a crime, I know, especially considering like I teach kids this age and da 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 da. I've watched all the movies. Huge Harry Potter fan. I just haven't gotten to reading all the books yet. So I have the audiobook for this. I'm going to do an immersive read, I think. I've got a lot going on, so I think audiobooks are another time, especially if it's one of those busy times or you're like the idea of sitting down and reading or sitting still and reading. That's a big thing for me too, sitting still and reading. Audiobooks are a good alternative to that for me. Um, a lot of people I know can't do fictional audiobooks or they can't do certain genres in audiobooks. Totally fine. I'm not a huge, well, actually, I'm getting more into audiobooks lately, but usually I will do audiobooks for nonfictions because sitting and reading a nonfiction in my mind, it just doesn't vibe. I don't know why. My brain is weird. Uh, but plug in a podcast type of like John Green narrated Everything is Tuberculosis. Fantastic job. He did great. There's The Radium Girls by Kate Kate Moore. The audiobook for this is also very good. This one is a very heavy topic, so this is not what I would recommend to break a slump. It is engaging, it is interesting, it is not short, and it is heartbreaking. Um, but fantastic. I do highly recommend it. I'm just taking my time for it. But the audio version, are doing an immersive read or listening to it while I drive. I did cry a couple times, so it got a little dangerous. So I had to take a break for that. But it's a great way to get me engaged in a story again. I also did it with the Throne of Glass series. I I'm waiting. I'm so scattered lately. I had the audiobook for Air of Fire. I thought I had checked it out. I did not check it out. My hold expired, and I had to put it on hold again. So when Libby tells me that Air of Fire is ready, I will be doing it for the next Throne of Glass book because I think the narrator for that series is really good, and it's also a way to get me engaged in a fantasy story really quickly. I did it a little bit with Well of Ascension for Brandon Sanderson. It just helps me get through it a little bit faster and helps keep me engaged when I don't have that time to sit down. So I think audiobooks are a super valid way to get some more reading in, and it's a good way for me to get my mind engaged and set and ready for a new plot. So huge fan of audiobooks, huge fan of easy breezy. YA books are awesome for this. Awesome for this. I also last December, I had a lot going on then too, and I blew through the first, I think, 3 audiobooks for The Lightning Thief because I wanted to reread that with some of my students, but they were reading faster than me at that time. So that was a good way for me to keep pace with my kids. And I'm doing the same thing. There have been a lot of Harry Potter requests at work lately. I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's the show that they keep talking about, but kids won't know about that. So I don't know what's going on, but a lot of kids have been requesting Harry Potter. So I'm like, oh, better get back on that. And then once I have a bit of a rhythm going, then I find something that maybe it's a little bit longer, but I can lock in. I know I'm ready. I feel good. And that is when I pulled out my last Dungeon Crawler Carl book. So I'd been waiting on this book, and that's another thing. I've been waiting for just like the right time to read it, which I'm making fun of myself, but also that is exactly how my brain works. I wanted to read this book since I bought it. I mean, I couldn't read it when I bought it because I wasn't ready for. Well, I wasn't finished with the 7th book yet, but I've been wanting to read this book since I bought it. I just needed to get in the right headspace for it, meaning get ready for the pacing. I needed to get ready for the emotional devastation because Matt, what are you doing to me? Oh, I have so many thoughts. Ugh. Okay, but also it's a chonker, and just looking at it had been sitting on my couch, like on the arm of my couch, for months at this point, and I'm like, it's just so long. It's just so long. I'm never gonna get through it. I read most of that. I don't know if you can see. I read most of that pretty quick. Pretty quick. I don't know how long it took me, but it was not very long. I had to take a break a little bit, but love it. It's so good. So once I get back in the rhythm of reading, then I take on my big challenging ones. For this is for me. This is what works for me. And if that still doesn't work, because sometimes that still doesn't work, just take a break. It's okay. Just take a break. You can like watch some trash TV, watch a comfort show. For me, a lot of times if I'm slumping, it just means I want something different to stimulate my brain. So I'll go to either a show I'm really interested in, a show I really want to watch, or a show that's and I mean show, I don't mean movie, I mean a TV show. Something that I can turn my brain off for. So personally in my life, what I would do is flip on something like New Girl. I'll watch, I don't know, I can't tell you how many times I've watched Avatar The Last Airbender. I actually, the slump breaker for me this time with my break, my brain break, was the live action Avatar The Last Airbender. Is it good? No. No. If I'm going to watch Avatar, I'm going to want to watch the original. But I mean, I was curious about it. It was nice. It was basically the same but with worse acting. And that's I don't think that's anything on the actors because I feel like the actors did a decent. Actually, there were some actors that I really enjoyed, like Danny Pudi. If anybody's a fan of Community, Abed, he was in it. Fantastic. I love anything that he does, but it does feel a bit forced. I don't think it was the actor's fault. I think it was the writing. But anyway, this is not an Avatar review, but something like that to switch gears a little bit, to give you something new but comforting, I guess. Watch something, turn your brain off, scroll on your phone for a little bit. That's okay. I don't recommend that a lot because I'm big on limiting screen time. However, it's okay. You don't have to read every minute of every day. I read a lot. I read more than the average person. I don't think I read more than my friends. I think my friends and I all read around a similar amount. But it's okay to just be, to just go see some friends, to relax, get out of the house, or watch TV or burrow for a little bit. You don't have to read all the time. You don't have to finish a certain book by a certain time. There is no timeline on reading. It is a hobby. I I'm learning that, and this year has been really good for me for that. So, if you get anything from this video, know that it's okay to take a break. That's fine. Um, and then if you still want to get back into it, there was one more tip I was going to give you. Oh, yeah, rereading. So I talked about a comfort show. You can go back to a comfort book. For me, I'm not like a whole book rereader, I'm a scene rereader. I don't know if that's a thing, but it's what I do. But I'll take some of my favorite books and I'll just reread my favorite scenes from it, which sounds really strange and sounds really discombobulated, but my brain jumps around so fast, like it's okay, it works for me. So reread a book that you love. I a couple of years ago, my friends and I started rereading Twilight together. Man, those books. I have so many things to say about those books. But it was a great like break from all of the other things I was reading to just go, "Oh, okay, no, this is fun. I love this book." Or, oh, I forgot about this detail. So it's fun to reread books and you're like, oh, I don't know. I don't really I think it's a comfort thing for me. I like to know what's going to happen. And that's something that stresses me. If I'm really stressed in life and all of my books are really stressful and I care about all the characters, looking at you, Brandon Sanderson, looking at you, Matt Dinneman, looking at you, pretty much every book I read. If I care about the characters and they might be going through something really dangerous, I'm not going to want to pick that up right now because I'm dealing with all of this like stuff in life and I don't want to deal with it in my books too. No, 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 we can't do it. So I'll go back to a comfort read where I know what's going to happen. Hunger Games is a comfort read for me, but also not. So do with that what you will. I'm trying to think of some other good comfort books that I like. Usually I'll just go back to like the fun books. I reread a lot of YA books because they're just like that comforting time in my life. I've reread Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. That's a great reread. Um, it's a comfort read because I know, like, that's the thing about my romance books. I know it's going to be a happy ending. That's I get through them so fast because I'm not afraid of someone dying. I'm not afraid of bad things happening. I know it's going to have a happy ending, so I know I can breeze through it. That's That's the big thing for me. Every reader does their own thing. Every like reading in general is subjective. So this is just works for me. This is what works for me. Let me know if any of this stuff helps you guys out too. If you have any tips for me when I'm trying to break a slump, I'm currently trying to avoid a slump right now because I can feel it happening. There's a lot of things happening in my life. Like the next few months are going to be so much fun. I'm so excited, but so busy. So we're, we're trying to avoid that slump. I did finally get my hands on the new Six of Crows book. I'm so excited. Um, Now, it is a short book. I'm not making myself read it all at once. So it's a short book. I don't know if you guys know anything about Six of Crows. It's Lee Bardugo's best. Mm, it's tied for Lee Bardugo's best series for me, but it's a bunch of letters and everything between the characters. It takes place after Crooked Kingdom, after the second book. Um, it's so good, and it's just like a warm hug from these babies that I fell in love with. But it's also short. It's not a very long read. I didn't mean to open that. It's illustrated too, which is so nice. Adults don't get illustrated books very often, so it's so sweet. I don't actually know if this is an adult book. I think it might be like marketed as YA, but come on, we're all adults reading it now. It's just so much fun. But it's a good quick read that I'm not making myself read all at once. And I'm taking my time with it and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And I think this is going to be really helpful for avoiding that slump. And I've got the audiobook for this to help me avoid the slump too. I also have the audiobook for, oh no, what was it? I think it might have been Educated, which is a nonfiction. I have another audiobook on there. I'm going to have to check out what it is. But those are to recap one more time. This is a chaotic book video. I'm not even going to bother changing it because why not? This is how my brain works. Welcome to my life. Read short books, read engaging books, change up your genre, take a break, read what you want to read. That's my advice to avoid a slump. If you made it through this mess of a video, I love you with all my heart. Happy reading.